What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, and there is some breaking news this morning regarding the new interim role at Tottenham Hotspur. Matty Moretto breaking this morning that Tottenham are considering Igor Tudor. He's a strong candidate for the bench. First contacts are already underway, and it is only as an interim role. DiMarzio also saying that Tottenham have offered Igor Tudor a contract up until June for the Croatian coach. Is he Croatian coach?
Yeah, Croatian.
And then DiMarzio said Igor Tudor has verbally agreed a deal with Tottenham to become the new head coach. And Fabrizio Romano as well, saying that Igor Tudor has informed Tottenham he's ready to accept the short-term deal until June as new Spurs interim coach. Negotiations at an advanced stage for Igor Tudor to take the hot seat from now until June. So this one's come out of pretty much nowhere.
We say that.
I mean, at this moment in time, it's come out of nowhere because, like, we were talking about interims. Nobody was talking about Igor Tudor.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So,
but we heard a while ago, didn't we?
Yeah, look, it's been a deal that has been mentioned in the past via Fabio Paratici, but Fabio Paratici's out the door. So I thought, you know, there's no chance of it. I just said to you off air, I guarantee you this is a case of the hierarchy knowing of the interest from Fabio 4 months ago or however long ago it was. Vinay and Lange saying, no, this ain't happening. Frank is here to stay. And now they've pulled the plug on it. They've, stamped on their toes. They've undermined Vinay and Lange. And they're saying, we're going back to Fabio Paratici's original plan. Now Fabio's out the door, which is just crazy when you think about it.
Fabio is still running the show, even post leaving the club, it seems. It's beyond the grave. He's still got a lasting effect. It's pretty crazy. So we heard... I don't know if it might have been in the reports, like publicly, but we heard 4 months ago after the Arsenal game, Fabio wanted to install Igor Tudor to replace Frank because he'd lost trust in Frank. He was never on board with it in the first place, but obviously once he's in sporting director, he's obviously going to give it a go. But once that Arsenal game happened, he was ready to install Igor Tudor as an interim till the end of the season, or even as a potential permanent or especially short term. So this isn't kind of new in terms of this was muted a while ago. As you say, we didn't agree, the hierarchy didn't agree at the time, and now we're here when we're in a relegation battle here in February. Things have gone to absolute shit. We've been losing games, the football's been awful, and now we need something to get us out of the relegation battle. So it looks like we've turned to Igor Tudor. Now, Igor Tudor's a very interesting guy and manager. I remember him when he was playing. He was a very good centre-back back in the day. But his managerial career has been a very chaotic one, I think it's fair to say.
Since 2013, he's had 11 jobs. 11 jobs. Hajduk Split.
Nearly a job a year.
Hajduk Split, PAOK, Karatspor in Turkey. He got the Galatasaray job on the back of that. Went to Udinese for a short stint. Left in June and then came back in March until November. So 2 stints in Udinese in the space of 2 years. Hajduk Split again. Hellas Verona, Marseille, Lazio, Juventus last season, and being sacked this season.
And he was manager. It was interesting because they hired him, I think, as an interim initially, and then did give him the full-time job. They hired him because Motta was a disaster, so they sacked him, brought Tudor in, I think is interim. Then they gave him the full-time job in the summer, and then he was gone by October. So it's hard to judge him basically just on Juve, because Juve have just been a bit of a mess, haven't they? They've been going from manager to manager ever since losing Allegri a while ago and going for Pirlo, then back to Allegri, then Motta, then so many different managers in recent years. It's been a bit of a mess. But Tudor he's a wild one. He seems to be one who comes in for a short time, not even necessarily a good time either, just a short time usually. Maybe that's what we're looking for, just a little boost, a little kind of shot in the arm, someone who's going to get into these players. Apparently he's a very aggressive character. He does like to play front-footed, attacking football, aggressive football, energetic football. He's one who likes to entertain. That's what he said. That's what he's been saying in interviews and stuff like that. I know his Juve side, I think one of his last games when he was Juve manager was a 4-4 draw with Dortmund. And I remember watching that game. That was an absolutely crazy game. So maybe that's something we're going to get used to in the next period of the season. I remember he was Marseille manager when we played them in the Champions League. We obviously beat them twice. Richarlison scoring a brace at home, and they were down to 10 men. And that Højbjerg late goal, late winner in what was a very memorable night. But yeah, Marseille were unlucky that night, I remember, but they did finish bottom of that group. So I don't know how much you can take from that. At the end of the day, we just need someone to come in, instill some belief, play on the front foot, who sets some standards as well, and I think he might be able to do that. People are saying, look, this guy doesn't last a long time. We don't need him to last a long time. He's here coming in as interim, and maybe if he wins all 12 games, maybe he'll get the job permanently, but he's coming in just to keep us up and to get us to stabilise us, get us into mid-table, then he'll move on, and that's it, and that's all we need him to do. So I'm not sitting here saying I'm wildly excited about this appointment, and I think it's a brilliant appointment. I just think if they think he can keep us up, then maybe he can. Now, a lot of people are worried, saying, is this confirming our relegation? Is this appointment, are we destined to go down now because of this appointment? I mean, I don't know who everyone, as you know, off air was saying, who do you expect as an interim? What kind of manager do you think? Are we going to get any better than him? Reality is probably not. Unless you're looking at a Heitinga, which a lot of people are saying, or a Harry Redknapp, which a lot of people were all of a sudden on board with, a 79-year-old manager who hasn't managed in 10 years. I know this guy has a chaotic CV, but he has managed a lot of big clubs. Whether he's done well at any of them he hasn't exactly done great. But, I've also seen a few people saying in the short spell he's done at a few clubs, he's actually stabilised them and done okay. So maybe it makes sense.
I think I'm looking at his last 3 jobs and the stats behind them. So the Marseille one, he was in 4th of July 2022 until the 1st of June 2023, 48 games, 27 wins, 8 draws and 13 losses, which is a 56% win rate, scoring 82 goals, conceding 51 goals, which is plus 31. Lazio, he was at until March and until June, so 11 games, 6 wins, 3 draws and 2 losses, scoring 15 goals in 11 games, conceding 9. So I think so he concedes a lot and scores a lot. Juventus, he was at March 2025 until October 2025, playing 24 games, 10 wins, 8 draws, 6 losses, 41% win ratio, scoring 39 and 29. And I think if he can get between that 40 and 55% win ratio, that's going to be fine for me. That's fine for me. That's all we need from now until the end of the season.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we need like 3 to 4 wins to stay up out of 12 games. So 30% is about 3 wins, isn't it? So I don't know, my maths is right there. Or maybe it's at 4 wins, but so if he can get to 45%,
yeah, here we go. Ornstein.
Oh, my word.
Tottenham Hotspur reached verbal agreement with Igor Tudor to become interim head coach. 47-year-old Croatian set to join Tottenham on a contract until the end of the season. No permanent option. Arrived with big club experience, process led by Venkatesham and Lange. What lies is that? I've never heard such lies in my life.
They led by after a cheeky call to Fabio. Definitely Fabio was the one who spoke to Tudor. I guarantee you, he was like, look, I know I've left, but just do these guys a favour, yeah? Just get them out of the shit. I know you should have been appointed a few months ago, and maybe we could have still challenged for Europe, but just, do us a favour, just save them. We'll give you a little bonus, £5 million survival bonus. All right, the next call is going to be from Vinay Lange. Pretend you haven't spoken to me, but this deal's done, yeah?
I'm looking at this, right, and I'm seeing a lot of negative reactions over social media, and I'm thinking, this isn't a long-term thing for Tottenham. This is just to get us out the shit from now until the end of the season. I don't get the whole negativity around it. I'm seeing, tweets saying, all right, so we've confirmed that we're going down this season. What more do you want? What do you want as an interim? No serious manager is coming here on an interim role. This is probably the most serious that we can get.
Well, Spurs Gamer says I'm fuming with
but why?
Emojis.
But why? Why is this something to be fuming about?
I guess it's not an exciting appointment in a sense that he's not exactly done well at many of his clubs. So he's just been sacked by a big club in Juventus, and you're looking at the situation and thinking we need someone who's going to keep us up. And it's it's a concern that he hasn't exactly done well in any of his other clubs, and everywhere he seems to have gone very quickly, and he seems to have a bit of a hothead. He resigns a lot.
But he's going here quickly as well. That's the whole point.
I agree with you. The fact of the matter is an interim. It's 12 games. The last time.
Like, would you guys prefer Ryan Mason? Would you prefer, like, who would you prefer? You prefer Johnny Heitinger? Because these are our options.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people are thinking, could we go down the Carrick path or the Ollie
Who
path?
is the Carrick path?
No, let me land. They're saying, should we go down one of those paths where we get like a club legend who understands the club, who can get into these players and just get us a little bounce from that point of view. But I agree. But there's no real. Apart from Robbie Keane, who has a permanent job right now, there is no real guy in management who you can confidently say, yeah, get this guy in. All the players will respect him straight away because he's a legend, and he will get us that little boost we need. So I think we needed a manager who's got experience managing at top clubs. And I know he doesn't have great experience in terms of he's never really been a massive success anywhere, and he's not lasted long. But he's, in terms of the job he has done, I'm looking at the stats as you showing them. He has on average 45 to 50% over his career. So that's good enough for us if he can do that. The last time he was in charge of an 11-game stint, I can see, was Lazio, and he won 6 of those games.
Yeah.
So that's perfect. If he can do that for us, absolutely, we'd all take that. So I think in terms of what the evidence suggests this guy can get the job done. And so that's all we need. Is it the Serie A, Sam Allardyce, whatever? I don't care. He's apparently as well he likes to play a bit more attacking football. If he can just do that, all he has to do, score a few more goals, play a bit more attacking football, win a few more games, and get us back to mid-table, or even whatever, lower mid-table, 13, 14, doesn't matter, just above the relegation zone. That's all he needs to do. And I think this guy should be able to do it seems. Yeah,
I agree with that. And, another thing to consider as well is that he seemed to get a bit of a tune out of Randall Kolo Muani last season for Juventus. So Muani might be thinking of Igor Tudor coming in and being like, you know what? This is a manager I can get behind and play under.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe Muani will be excited about this potential appointment. I don't know if anyone else in our squad has played under him, but I can't think because he's been to so many clubs. I know we've got a lot of players, so I don't know if any of the careers line up. But
don't think we've got players that have played for Lazio or Marseille.
Matt Law now, saying he's agreed. It's all going to happen. I wonder if when there will be an announcement about it, because it seems as though it's all in the pipeline. It's all happened.
Yeah, it looks like this is a done deal, people.
But doesn't it also make a mockery of the fact that Paratici has left? And,
100%.
And we've got Vinay and Lang, whereas this was Paratici's recommendation 4 months ago. Apparently, Paratici left because a part of the reason anyway was because he wanted Frank gone. They didn't listen to him, and he wanted Tudor through the door. Now, during the January transfer window, he's gone to Fiorentina, and we're left with Vinay and Lange, and we've backed their vision. And within a few weeks, we've gone, okay, these guys actually don't know what they're talking about. Let's go to what Fabio was saying and get Tudor in. But we don't have Fabio anymore. So the club must be regretting that decision. We all said at the time, out of all the guys making footballing decisions, our Vinay, Lange and Fabio obviously would rather keep Fabio than those two, because those two seem like bozos when it comes to it. Fabio, at least, as much as he's not perfect, he seems to know a lot about football. He has a lot of contacts, and he's been a sporting director at a successful sporting director.
He's got a lot of contacts in Juventus.
Yeah, but whatever we want to say about that he was part of Juventus's most successful time, wasn't he? When they were winning leagues time and time again, he was their sporting director. So he knew what he was doing at that time. So when it comes to that, obviously Fabio, we can trust him more than we can trust those other two guys. Now we've allowed him to go. We haven't backed Fabio. We've backed the other two guys. And now we're left in this situation, which is... And now Vinay and Lange are going to be out the door.
Now we've backed Fabio without him even being here, which is just a crazy situation. It just carries on the incompetencies that are shown at boardroom level at Tottenham Hotspur, which is just mind-boggling. But Ali Gold has said that Tudor looks set to become Spurs' new interim coach until the summer after agreeing terms. He'll have the opportunity to stake his claim for the permanent role as well.
which obviously
Can't see that happening, really.
No, I can't see it, especially with De Zerbi Pochettino or De Zerbi being available in the summer, and obviously that's our number one choices. But here's the reality. We do have 12 games, and we do have a Champions League campaign. If he goes on a crazy run in the Champions League, and he also has a fantastic league campaign, there's obviously a chance, isn't there? You can never say never, can you? Let's say he wins all 12 games and gets us to a semi-final of the Champions League. All of a sudden you're thinking maybe he is worth a go.
Yeah.
Is that actually going to happen though? Probably not. The reality is he's probably going to win. He's probably going to win a third, draw a third, lose a third. That would be enough to keep us up, but not exactly convincing results. We'll probably get knocked out in the round of 16 of the Champions League, and then that'll be that. I'll take that right now because that'll keep us in the Premier League. That's all we need him to do. But let's hope. Look, he can stake a claim. Who knows? He wouldn't be the first interim to have won a Champions League, would he?
No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. And Sammy Motbell, BBC, is saying, it's agreed. It's all agreed. Head coach till the end of the season. So, look, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. I don't think we could have got much better, to be honest, as an interim from now until the end of the season. I think he's good enough to keep us up. He's going to play probably a 3-4-3 system, high intensity, aggressive football. From what his other clubs suggest, score a lot of goals, concede a lot of goals, and maybe add a bit of fresh impetus and energy into this team, which is desperately needed right now. So, yeah, look, let's see how it goes, people. His first game is the North London derby.
According to David Ornstein, so he has the reason for the appointment. He has a track record. He has experience at big clubs, and he does have a track record of making immediate impacts.
All right.
That's something that it says Vina and Johan Lang have driven the 47-year-old's interim appointment, with the club set to select from a wider pool of candidates in the summer. Obviously, his next game is in the North London derby. Tudor was sacked by Juventus after several months in charge in October, with the side in 8th place. His dismissal came after a winless 8-game run. After making 174 appearances over 9 years and 2 league titles with Juve, Tudor began his coaching career at Hajduk Split in 2013. He has since had spells at PAOK Salonika, Karabukspor, Galatasaray, Udinese, before joining the Turin-based side as part of Pirlo's coaching staff in 2020. Then left there at the end of that season and then coached at Hellas Verona, Marseille, and Lazio. Frank's departure after 8 months in charge and departed after 8 months in charge, and they're working through contingency plans after the 2-1 loss. The Dane. Then he goes on to say, okay, that's just about Frank. Then there's James Horncastle. He says, what will true Tudor bring to Tottenham? Tudor has considerable experience as interim. He came in at Lazio in March 2024 and qualified for the Europa League. He then replaced Motta at Juventus last spring and ensured they didn't miss out on Champions League. Juventus kept him on as they underwent structural changes within the club. Damien Comoli, formerly of Tottenham, moved from general manager to chief executive at Juventus and then appointed a new executive team. Tudor was then sacked in October. He remained on their books until a contract resolution freed him to pursue other opportunities in the new year. Tudor worked with Tottenham's old co-sporting director Fabio whilst assistant to Pirlo at Juventus. He knows Kulusevski and Bentancur from that time. Although will he be able to manage him? He also
you looked at me like saying, "Oh, that's good. That's good."
You won't be able to use him. He also.
Although there was a picture of Kulusevski in the gym today.
All right. Maybe Decky was waiting for Frank to go before coming back. He also worked with Randall Kolo-Muani last season. Tudor will bring discipline to Tottenham. It remains to be seen how this squad fits the 3-4-2-1 he tends to play since deployed that system at Hellas Verona, where he first stood out as coach. A 3-4-2-1. So
I like
similar
that.
to Glasner, similar to what you've been playing recently.
Yeah.
Which I do think, in terms of our players, does suit them.
But right now, with the current couple of players, do we have enough players to fulfill each role? If we say Porro should be back, Spence is back, obviously. We've got Souza, so I guess Porro, Spence, wing backs. Back three,
Mm.
of Van der Ven. Well, Romero's out, so
Dragoshin
Van der Ven,
Palhinha.
Dragoshin, Palhinha.
Or maybe even Gray if Spencer's
I
back.
prefer Palhinha there.
Yeah,
Midfield 2 of who?
Gallagher and-
Gallagher and Sarr.
Gallagher, Sarr, or Gray, or Basuma. But yeah, Gallagher, Sarr,
Yeah. And then Javi, Tel.
Moani. Moani comes back into the fray, I say.
Moani probably starts for him, doesn't he?
I think.
Over Solanke?
No, Moani in one of the tents.
Oh, you reckon Moani in one of the 10s?
Javi, Moani, Solanke.
Because he played Moani as out and out striker, didn't he? At his time at Juve?
Yeah, I think he did actually. I think he did. Let me see. I think it was a bit of a mix, but I think it was mainly striker. Let's see what Transfermarkt say. So anyway, but that's if he can get just a couple goals out of Moani, that would be phenomenal. He played mostly centre forward. A couple of games on the right wing.
So when he was at Juve, was it also a 3-4-3 or 3-4-1-2-1, whatever it is?
Let's see. It's very to look. If he can make an instant impact,
mate, can you imagine he beats Arsenal?
Oh, then give him the job. Give him the job.
Instant hero.
Give him the job.
I'm loving Tudor instead.
Fantastic.
If Arsenal play anything like they did last night, then there's no reason why we can't.
So
give
Tudor
him a
came
game.
in March, didn't he?
Yeah,
So they were playing 4-3-8, moved to a 3-4-2-1,
yeah.
even a 3-5-2 at times. He actually was pretty good last season, from what I can see. And then it all went a bit wrong this season. Came in March. They changed to a 3-4-2-1, and they only lost one game in 8 games, last 8 games, and won 5.
Yeah, look, like I said, I really do not mind this at all, and I don't get the overly negative reaction to it. I feel like Spurs as a fan base always just looking for something to get overly negative about.
Yeah, I guess it's just not a name where you're like, it's not a permanent appointment. It's not a name where you're like, wow.
But as an interim, what can you expect?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But
What can you expect?
The reality is, you cast your mind back to a few days ago after losing to Newcastle, and after Frank's gone, we're sitting here like, what the hell are we going to do? Are we going to appoint Heitinga? Who's going to? Look, the reality is, everyone's being negative about this year, but literally. You cast your mind back to a few hours ago. Everyone was pining for bloody Harry Redknapp. That's who they're going for. That's how on our knees we were. So I think Igor Tudor's a fine appointment.
And you look at all the other interims that we've had: Stellini, Mason, Chris Hughton, like all these guys. Like Tudor is a cut above all of those.
Yeah, and he's got the experience. I'm not sitting here saying he's a phenomenal coach and we're going to win
definitely
everything.
not.
And now let's look at Europe and
but-
all this kind of stuff. But the reality is, we are in survival settings, and we just need someone to come in, have a bit of an instant boost, win a few games, and that's it. And I think he can do that. He's got
Exactly.
experience doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So a bit like Ron Sill, does what it says on the tin.
Exactly.
And he's going to come in, he's going to save us from relegation, stable us from now until the end of the season, and then we move on. And then we go our separate ways and hopefully bring Pochettino back.
Yeah, I couldn't think of a better person to just be the in-between between us and Pochettino, to be honest.
Out of the guys who have been banded about and the guys that are available, as an interim, I think this has been the best option that has been spoken about, in my opinion.
I can't see any anywhere where he's just gone and not won any games. And I know he's gone quickly in a lot of places, but he's won a few games wherever he's been. And that's all he needs to do here. Literally, just win 3 games. That's all. It's not. We're not really asking the world, are we?
Yeah.
So that's all he needs to do, and he's got a track record of doing that everywhere he's gone.
We did a poll, so if you want to vote in that, you can vote. It's pinned to the live chat. Are you happy with Igor Tudor as interim? 40% saying yes, 60% saying no. So why, out of the guys that have said no, why are you not happy with this? What is the reasons that you're not happy with this? I really want to know.
I think when it came to when we were linked with him 4 months ago, and I was like, okay, what are we doing, right? But at that point, there was still so much of the season left. We were in November. I don't like the thought of appointing an interim for that amount of time. I would like to have gone for something more permanent, and I wouldn't want Igor Tudor for that amount of time. But right now, in February, with 12 games to go, the situation we are in, I'm absolutely fine with it, to be honest. I don't think I can expect a better kind of appointment.
Let's just get through the season.
Yeah,
get through the season, and then we go again.
All we need to do is just need a different voice in that dressing room. We need, if he can have the impact he had at Juve last year, that would be perfect. He has experience managing Kolo Muani. Maybe he can get something out of him over the next few months. Look, I've got no hope for the Champions League. So I'm not going to sit here saying he's going to do anything in that Champions League. Maybe he can get us a few extra million by getting us through a round or two. But look, he ain't going to win that. But you never know. But he ain't going to win that. All he has to do is stabilise us a bit and just get the fans as well enjoying their football again. And he's got experience playing aggressive, attacking, front-footed football. That's what he does. So if he's going to do that, then whatever, that's fine. That's absolutely fine with me. And he's got 12 days now, or he's going to have a week for the Arsenal. But I'm guessing he's going to start work on Monday. He's going to have a week to prepare for that Arsenal game. Arsenal have a midweek game, so we're going to have a few more days to prepare.
They would have had played 3 times before we last played.
So if he can get a result against Arsenal, then that's all we have to do. That's all he has to do, really, in the short term. Just get something out of that game, even if it, get a few injuries on their side.
Yeah, with us now confirming the interim, well, not officially confirmed, but all but confirmed. Does that suggest that it will be Pochettino in the summer?
100%. I think the only reason you wait till the summer is if you're going for Poch, because
there could be another name that they have, and I've got some other names to talk about.
Potentially, I think De Zerbi's on the list. I really, truly believe if they really wanted him, we could have gone for him now. I know he says he wants to wait till the summer, but I think we could have gone for him now. I think we could have convinced him to come in. Not maybe now, but maybe he has a few weeks break and then come in. I think we could have, or maybe a week break. He's got 12 days between now and the Arsenal game. I think we could have probably convinced him to come in during that time if he truly wanted it, because he wants to return to the Premier League. There's no guarantee he gets any other Premier League job. This one's open right now, so he can either take it or leave it, kind of thing. But I don't think we really wanted him. I don't truly believe that. I think he's on the list because he's a good manager. But yeah, go on. What are the other names?
So Matt Law is reporting that Marco Rose and Edin Terzic have been added to Tottenham's list as club have started to interview candidates to succeed Thomas Frank. Both of these are interesting because Marco Rose, out of nowhere last night, became the bookies' strong favourite to be Tottenham's next manager, which I'm just like, wow, where the hell did that come from? So obviously he used to be the Leipzig manager. He won the cup for Leipzig, which is very impressive in Germany. Edin Terzic is also an interesting one because he obviously got Borussia Dortmund to the Champions League final, didn't he? And Matt Law says Edin Terzic is interested in taking the Tottenham job, having turned down several approaches from European clubs in order to manage in the Premier League. So he's desperate for a Premier League job, Edin Terzic. And I think he's a name that we've been linked to in the past. I think he had that mad season at Dortmund, didn't he, where they got to the Champions League final and they bottled the league on the last day.
They were top going to the last day and they lost, didn't they?
Yeah. So, I mean, but what a season that is. Like, to go into the top over Bayern Munich last day of the season and get to the Champions League final. All right, they didn't get over the line. Very much Poch vibes there. But, yeah, what's your thoughts on Edin?
Yeah, he did a great job, but then he was gone the next season.
Yeah.
I didn't exactly do well the next season. But people are very down on him. They think his football isn't great. He doesn't seem to have much of a philosophy. He just seems to be only adapting without really having some sort of set way of playing, which can be a good thing, but why has no one touched him ever since he's gone? If he's that good, there's something telling me about.
Well, they're saying he has. He's turned down several approaches.
From who?
From European clubs. Because he wants to move to the Premier League.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll trust him with a big project based on that job he did at Dortmund. I know he had a good season, but in terms of a long-term thing, I don't know. I think we could have had him.
You know what I would like? I would like Edin Terzic to come in as the interim. I think he could have been a decent interim because, like, with that Champions League experience as well,
that's
of
fair.
getting to a final.
I would have taken him as interim 100%, but not a permanent. I wouldn't appoint him as a permanent. I think that's too much of a risk, in my opinion. When it comes to Marco Rose, he managed Xavi, didn't he? At Leipzig.
At Leipzig, yeah.
Yeah, so I think he has experience there playing that like 4-2-2-2, I think. He comes in. He didn't do great at Dortmund, although they finished second. He didn't do great. He was only lasted a year. Went to Leipzig. He did a pretty good job there, but then he ended up falling short in the end, although he did win a cup. I don't know too much about him. I just know the Dortmund fans I know didn't like him particularly much. Again, it doesn't seem like a guy I would trust too much, to be honest. I just think when you've got Poch or De Zerbi, they've got the Premier League experience. They're safer bets. I don't know if Terzic or Rose would be my ones I'd trust to a point. Doesn't seem like great fits.
Yeah, I'm just not sure about either of them. I need to know more about them, to be honest, before I make an actual judgment on it. But they are interesting names to be added to the list. But yeah, look, I feel that all roads just lead to Pochettino. I feel that's the plan of the club. I think that's what the club are going to do. I think it's an easy win for the club, and let's just get it done.
I think after the Frank debacle and after all the club have been talking, I think they are going to want to make a bit of a statement with the next manager appointment. They're going to want to show they're ambitious, right? They're going to want to show the fans, look, we're here to win and blah, 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 and we want to get Spurs back to challenging. And look, whether you think Pochettino represents that, I think it's an appointment that can get everyone back on side very quickly. I think they want a big... My point is they're going to want a big name, I think. They want a big name. I don't think Rose or Terzic's going to do it. I think Poch would do it. De Zerbi might do it. But I think they're going to want a name.
Yeah, I think Poch trumps them all, to be honest. And do you think that with Pochettino they could announce it before the World Cup, before the end of the season?
They could, but I just remember Lopetegui. They did that, and they sacked him before the World Cup started because he was already thinking of post.
The thing is, would Poch want that? Would he mind that?
Would he want it? I don't know. I think he wants to manage at the World Cup. It's a good opportunity.
I don't think they'll care too much, the US national team. I think he was literally just brought in for this World Cup. Get them competitive at the World Cup. So I don't think the USA would mind that too much. Maybe they'll announce it before. Maybe I wouldn't be shocked. I'd like to know what's going on. I wouldn't want it to be a whole summer of confusion. So definitely, I think let's get it sorted as soon as possible. But at the end of the day, he has got a job to do. So if he's saying, look, let's just wait to get it all sorted, then that's what we've got to do. I want to know from you guys out there, what's your thoughts on Marco Rose and Edin Terzic? Would you like to see one of them given the job? Let us know. Put a comment in the comment section. Rose, Terzic or Pochettino? Where are you guys' heads at? I think I know which way you guys are going to go, but let us know if any of those two do stand out for you. But that is the news right now in terms of the manager situation. Igor Tudor is all but announced as the interim manager till the end of the season. First game doesn't come any bigger with the North London derby. And Rose and Terzic have been mooted about a potential summer appointment. And obviously the Pochettino rumours are always going to be there. So
what I think Tudor will bring is definitely a bit more passion. He seems like a guy who doesn't take any shit, does he? He doesn't take anything from the players or anything. So any sort of lack of professionalism.
I don't know, but like judging by what his face looks like, he looks like that.
I think that's the kind of character he is. He seems like a bit of a volatile character as well. So I think he instantly can command that respect from the players, which Frank just wasn't able to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, we'll see how it all works out. What are we going to go to next?
We'll go to Reacts.
All right, let's go to Reacts. Let's see how the internet is reacting to the Igor Tudor news. And we've got a couple to get through. First up is the Prem Inside saying Tudor is a fixer, by the way. The stats back it up during his interim stints at clubs. As a permanent manager, no, interim deal is fine in my opinion. And that's exactly the opinion I hold, to be honest. Yeah,
I think that's all we need. We just need someone to give us a little shot on the arm because we look on our knees at the moment. We look so bereft of confidence, of any sort of belief maybe Tudor, even if it's just for a short time, can just give us a little bit of a boost.
Oh, scrap that.
What?
Scrap the reacts.
Have we
Scrap
announced it?
the reacts. We have just got those 3 words from Fabrizio Romano. Breaking news, Igor Tudor becomes the new Tottenham interim coach until 2026, as revealed earlier. He's accepted the job and ready to stay until the end of the season. Main candidates for the permanent job is Roberto De Zerbi and Pochettino. I mean, I thought we got... there we go. Here we go. There you have
There
it.
you go. So Igor Tudor will be the next Tottenham interim
Signed,
manager.
sealed and delivered, people. We have our new interim head coach.
Wow. I think, yeah, and I'm intrigued to see how he does. I'm intrigued to see what he can do in a very short space of time, because I think he's the kind of character who'll bring passion on the touchline. He'll get the players playing with a bit more aggression. It's hard to say like he's going to instill belief and all this and confidence. I don't know about that kind of stuff, but he's going to get us more front-footed. He's going to get us playing in a certain way where we're not going to be so standoffish and we're not going to be so passive. It's going to be a different style of football. And I think that's what the players need. They need a new voice. He's got experience at big clubs, right? He's had a brilliant playing career in Italy, at Juventus, winning titles.
Defender, wasn't he?
He was a defender. But in terms of when you've got someone like Frank, whose only experiences have been at Bromby and Brentford and very small time, and his only experience being right around the mid-table, and even his playing career, he was even a player, I don't know, or he wasn't a great player, Thomas Frank. So when it comes to getting that respect from the players in terms of what he's achieved in his career, he never really done that. I think Igor Tudor is the type of personality and the type of guy that can definitely get the players on side very quickly. In terms of what his CV says, he's a guy who comes in for a short time, not a long time, but maybe a bit of a good time. That's all that needs to happen. We just need him to come in, give us a bit of a shot on the arm, get a few wins, and then job done. Get his survival bonus, and then everyone go their separate ways.
You know, as well, like, it's going to bring an element of surprise to or unpredictability to the teams that we're playing against now. Because now we're playing against Arsenal in 12 days. What does Arteta plan for? Like, how does he plan for that? You know what I mean? 'Cause, I mean, he might know the system that we're going to play if he judges Igor Tudor or previous jobs, but he doesn't know all the kind of little details of the play and everything like that. And it's going to be hard to plan for a game against us, isn't it? Particularly in the North London derby.
100%. And I think hopefully that gives us something in terms of going into that game, because we're all resigned to defeat. And we think there's no chance we get anything out of that game.
Imagine he just comes in and beats Arsenal, man.
It would be phenomenal. It'd be phenomenal. And maybe this gives us the chance that we needed to get something out of that game and get a chance of survival. And when I look at his career, don't get me wrong, it doesn't seem like a great manager. He doesn't seem like someone who's phenomenal and we're going to be flying up the table. And his career doesn't suggest that he is a great manager. But he's someone who could just get a little bit of an instant impact out of this team and get something extra and different out of this team. And that's all we need.
Yeah, I see a comment here from WeAreSpursTV saying there are no facts he's going to give us a shot in the arm. I mean, that's exactly what he did to Juventus last season. He gave them a shot in the arm and they got Champions League football off the back of it, where it looked like they were going to miss out. So I think he can give us that shot in the arm. I think he will instill a bit of belief and a bit of aggressive nature to the play. And like you said, I do think his kind of big club experience will go a long way in terms of trying to get these players on side.
Yeah, I agree. It is a gamble. We've obviously gone from Frank.
Everything's a gamble, though.
I understand that, but we've obviously gone from Frank, who has the Premier League experience, right? And I understand he was taking us down. I wanted him gone. We all wanted him gone. I'm just saying we've gone from that, and we've now gone in a direction where he's kind of like an Italian firefighter. He's the Serie A Allardyce, people are calling him. I don't know if that's fair, but we've gone in that direction. He very recently got sacked by Juventus after an 8-game winless run. He can't afford to have that at Tottenham. He has been at clubs for a very short amount of time, ends up resigning, ends up going wrong every club he goes at. It's not like we're hiring a guy who's had a long history of success as a manager, 100%. So there's definitely going to be reservations from a lot of people. I can't sit here and say, wow, what an appointment in that sense, like fantastic appointment. But will it be just about enough to give us something different energy in the dressing room, a different voice, more aggression, and more standards?
Yeah.
Let's hope he does that.
Look, am I expecting him to come in and win 12 out of 12? No. If he gets me a 40% to 50% win ratio from now to the end of the season, I'll be more than delighted with that. We won't go down winning 40 to 50% of our games from now to the end of the season. Maybe give us, push us up the league a little bit. Just give us a few wins. That's all we need. Just stay clear of relegation. Keep us in this league. That is his job. And can he do that? Yeah, of course he can do that. Am I asking him to get us back into Europe and all this kind of stuff and win 100% of the games and show us this free-flowing football and, No, I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking, stay in this league and keep our Premier League status for next season and keep that seat warm for Pochettino. That's all he needs to do.
Yeah, and I think people need to stop going overboard about, how terrible it is. He's not going to be here for long. Is it a mid-hire? Yeah, it's a mid-hire, but all we need is mid. We don't need phenomenal. We're not going to be hiring Klopp for interim, are we? You know what I mean? Like, what do people expect? We are a mess. No one wants to come to us. We don't really have a legend ready and waiting who's got managerial experience, like an Ollie or a Carrick or whatever. We don't have that for us. So this is kind of the best we have to do. I understand people are looking at his managerial career and thinking this guy is rubbish. Yeah, he's not a great manager. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a good manager. He probably isn't a good manager in the long term, but he does have experience of just getting short-term results, like good enough results for what we need. Not even good. It's not even like I'm not sitting here saying he gets great results short-term. Like he gets his real boost, and I mean he did last season for Juventus, and he has done for Lazio. But it's not like he's guaranteed to get us winning loads and loads of games, and it's going to be free-flowing football, and everything's going to be great. I'm not saying that, but look at the situation we're in. We are in a relegation battle. All he needs to do is get 3 wins, pretty much. Can he do that? The evidence suggests he can do that. And that's all we need.
Look, all his win ratios at all his clubs, I think, will all keep us up.
Exactly.
So if he can just replicate the win ratios that he has done in his previous 3 or 4 jobs, then that'll be more than enough to keep us up, and that's exactly what we need. So
it's weird. Like, I look at some of the reaction online, and some people are saying he's Conte light. Some people are saying he is attacking. Some people, maybe it's hard to nail down what exactly he is.
Yeah, well, it looks like he's a manager that scores a lot and concedes a lot.
Right, so I wouldn't necessarily tell me he's defensive, but is he attacking? I mean, he says he's attacking, but then again, so did Frank and so did Conte.
Yeah. They
said they're attacking and then didn't exactly pan out that way. So if he is Conte light, I would take that right now, to be honest.
Yeah, so it's another. Well, it's definitely an example of Spurs listening to Fabio, post to Fabio, after he walked out of the club. More evidence of Vinay and Lange not knowing exactly what the hell is going on at this football club. Albeit, David Ornstein says this was conducted by Vinay and Lange. I do not buy that for a minute.
No.
Maybe it was conducted by them in the very short term, but this was an idea that was put forward by Fabio Paratici about 4 months ago. Vinay and Lange dug in their heels. They're saying, no, Frank's our guy, Frank's our guy, Frank's our guy. Even as late as last week before the sacking, or even this week before the sacking, they were saying, no, he's our guy, he's our guy, he's our guy. The Lewis family had to step in and say, no, he's not our guy. He's getting sacked today. They sacked him, and now suddenly we're going for Igor Tudor. So make of that what you will.
What does Iggy say? Has Iggy been saying anything? Maybe we should get him on. He would probably know. He'll probably know what's going on with this guy. I'm happy. I'm happy that we've got someone quickly. Mm-hmm. I'm happy we've made a decision, and we've not let this rumble on too much. And it's frustrating because we could have done this a few months ago, and maybe we wouldn't be in the position we are in now. But at the end of the day, here we are, and we've got it done. We've got it done. I'm not sitting here super excited, but I'm happy because I think this could be an appointment that should be enough to keep us up.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you have it. That is the news. Igor Tudor to Spurs. Here we go. We have finally announced, well, we haven't announced it, but it will be announced. He will be our interim manager from now until the end of the season. Let's hope it doesn't go the same way as Stellini and the interim gets sacked. But I don't think it will do.
I like it. There's a picture of him on the pitch when we were playing them in that last minute, if you remember. We'll show you the picture. Okay, so if he can just bring that discipline back to the playing squad, that needs to happen. And look, I think if Romero's been turning up late and stuff, I think that stops. You know what I mean? I think he comes in with a bit of respect.
It ends here.
It ends here.
All right, cool. Let's get back to reacts and see how the internet did react to, or is reacting to, the Igor Tudor news. Can you just refresh it? Yeah. So let's get in to see how the internet is reacting to the Igor Tudor news. Douglas Critchley saying that Igor Tudor has established a reputation of instantly improving results, doing so at Lazio and Juventus, securing Champions League football at the latter just in 24-25 after arriving in March. Did an underrated job at Marseille where he led them to their best points tally in the last 7 years. He predominantly plays a five at the back.
He's better than Deserbi.
He's predominantly a five at the back manager, which might please some Spurs fans. I don't think his sides have ever played the most thrilling football, but his CV is far superior to other names of the interim hat, such as Robbie Keane. To the end of the season, I don't mind it, but he feels like a huge departure from Frank stylistically.
Well, let's hope so. Let's bloody hope so, because we need a bloody huge departure.
To say his football's not the most thrilling, though.
He does say it's not the most thrilling, true. But if it's more attacking than Frank, that's all we need.
James Moore says Igor Tudor was actually on the pitch as Tottenham scored their winner in the Champions League match away to Marseille in 2022, so maybe he does know the club a bit.
He was trying to do the defending himself. He's doing an Arteta.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine him versus Arteta on the touchline in the North London derby. Who gets further on the pitch, you reckon? Him or Arteta? Who's going to be putting in the first tackle?
Let's hope him.
Come on.
Let's hope him.
Oh, I'd love it.
He's actually quite some way on the pitch, isn't he?
He's literally stopping that counter. I think that's brilliant. I would love it if he has like a Martin Wenger moment with Arteta, just bloody headbutts him.
But that makes him an instant hero.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, 100%. That's all he needs to do. He just someone needs to tell him, look, just have an argument with Arteta and get a result, and you're an instant hero.
Yeah, literally. Daniel Story says, I thought that Igor Tudor must have had a brilliant agent when he got the Juventus job and the Lazio before that, but this is something else. Extraordinary gamble from Spurs.
So that's what Daniel Story thinks. Extraordinary gamble.
Chief football writer of the iPaper.
Yeah, I know Daniel Story. He used to write a lot for Football 365. I used to read that a lot as well. He's a clever guy. I wouldn't say I trust his footballing opinions that much, but he's a good writer, I would say, and he's very funny. But that's what he thinks. But it's weird because Doug Critchley says he did all right at Juve in Lazio short term.
Yeah.
So but he's saying based on what he showed at Juve and Lazio, this is an unbelievable gamble from Tottenham. Whereas Critchley says based on what he's done at Juve and Lazio, this is a good appointment.
I mean, from what obviously I wasn't watching these clubs week in, week out, or even saw many games at all, but judging by the results, judging by the win percentage, what he's done at both those clubs, if he can replicate that at Spurs, that's no problem.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all he needs to do.
So you put out a poll saying thoughts on Igor Tudor. Very split, 46.7% saying a good appointment, 53.3% saying not a good appointment. I feel like all the polls that we put out now are just so kind of split down the middle, aren't they? That just shows you like how split this fan base is right now.
Yeah, I think so. I think, it's gone up to 53% not good. I think it's a good interim appointment. I just don't see a massive issue with it. You're not going to get an interim who's got a great track record. Otherwise, there wouldn't be an interim, would they?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, what can we do?
Prem Inside saying Tudor is a fixer, by the way. The stats back up during his interim stints at the clubs. As a permanent manager, no. Interim deal is fine, in my opinion. And yeah, like I said before, I think that's kind of where my opinion lies as well. John McKenzie says, Tudor is to do.
Come on. That's going to be plastered all over the club now.
Billy T says, sorry, I go by vibes, not football evidence. Didn't trust Thomas Frank due to the two first names, and can't be having a bloke named Igor. I'm sorry. We're not an animated horror franchise. And by the way, Billy, what the hell is wrong with two first names, mate?
Come on, yeah. And I can't trust Billy on that. Two first names is where it's at.
Exactly.
That's where it's at. But the problem is his surname is Tudor. It's like, is he taking us back to the Tudor era without football, or kind of the football they were playing back then? That's the meme.
Spurs were good back in the day.
Yeah, good back in the day.
Black and white football, bring it back.
Exactly.
So that one was the announcement. Kish says, apparently Igor Tudor is an experienced interim and a very competent motivator. Bar is on the floor right now, but that's all I've got.
Yeah. That's all we kind of need, I guess, short term. That's all we can kind of ask for. When you're looking for kind of attributes for an interim manager, he seems to have what we need.
Which is?
Just someone who's going to motivate in the short term, get a little bit of a bounce, play a bit more aggressive and a bit more on the front foot, and get the little results required to keep us up. That's kind of it.
All right. Matt Hayes, Tudor's last 8 games at Juventus, 3 losses and 5 draws. I mean, he's very particularly picking out his worst kind of run, and obviously he got sacked off the back of it. But why don't you show his first 8 games? Because that's more
relevant, I guess.
That's more relevant, yeah.
Well, I guess you could argue either what's more relevant. Is it his last 8 where that's where he's currently at, or his first 8 in terms of that's what he does when he first comes in?
Yeah, the first 8 shows us maybe the signs of an initial boost, and maybe we should look at the first 8 games in all his last 3 jobs. Maybe that's relevant. Aaron Spurs says, Igor Tudor is a very good choice as interim, proven as interim. So this is Igor Tudor's interim and short-term stints. Juventus 25 to March 25 to June 25 replaced Thiago Motta mid-season, 9 matches, secured Champions League qualification. Lazio March 24 to June 24 replaced Maurizio Sarri, 11 matches, finished 7th and achieved the 1.91 points per game. Udinese March 19 to November 19 replaced Davide Nicola, 25 matches, stabilised mid-table before a permanent exit. And then Udinese, April 18 to June 18, replaced Massimo Oddo, 4 matches, and saved the club from relegation. So, I mean, there's nothing in that for a big cause of concern.
Proven interim. So there we go. Some managers, I think that's what I think clubs need to start looking at when it comes to managers. I think people think each job a manager can do is like translatable to every facet. That's why we've made the mistake with Frank. We think because he's taken a club that could be battling relegation to mid-table, that's translatable to a team in mid-table to, Champions League or even higher than that for us. It's very different. And I think when you look at someone like him, maybe he just is a good interim and that's it. Maybe that is his role. He's not a good long-term coach anywhere. He comes in, puts out fires, and he moves on. Maybe that's what he is, and maybe every time he's stayed too long, he comes undone. Same with Conte. People got to start looking at him saying maybe he's just a good 1 or 2 year manager, and that's it. Like, he's not good when any longer than that.
He never lasts any longer than that, but it doesn't mean he can't be good for any longer than that.
But I'm saying that I think people kind of think that different managerial jobs translate the same in each club. It doesn't necessarily work like that. And maybe when we look at Tudor, people look at him and think okay, he never stays long, he's he's not a very good manager, but clearly he can do an interim job. That's all we need.
Yeah. Mike says, I hated watching Juve under Igor Tudor. It was crap football. If he becomes the Spurs interim, I really can't be asked. At Juve, he got criticised for being a disconnect between his defence and midfield, a lack of pressing that left the team easily exploited. That doesn't sound great.
That doesn't sound good. But look, yeah, that doesn't sound good. Hopefully, it's just that's kind of what started happening after the initial bounce, because there seemed to be an initial bounce when he first came in.
Yeah. Well, he got them Champions League football, didn't he?
Yeah.
Jacko Cat says, Igor Tudor makes sense in this situation. Clearly, we're not getting the manager we want now. We need to find someone who's able to work with an emergency situation. Tudor has experience with Juventus and Lazio as an interim. He's someone able to motivate the players, and he's quite a no-nonsense guy. He fit very well into a situation where you just need to save ourselves. I'm not hyped, but it's more or less what I expected. If you were expecting someone to come here with an insane offensive football with the state of our team, I'm sorry for you. We need to get in a safe position as soon as possible. I honestly don't know if this is going to work, but to be fair, I don't have one single name that I'm comfortable with in this moment, knowing that the players are available. And that's the thing, right? That's what we said, like, in terms of the names that have been bandied about, in terms of who's actually available and willing to do an interim role from now until the end of the season, the list ain't that big.
I'm looking at all his clubs. He seems to have a good start wherever he goes. Wherever he goes, he seems to have a really positive impact early on. And then it starts to go wrong. So if he can do that for us, that's all we need.
Exactly.
So yeah, look, this is exactly the point that Jaco's saying. Like, wherever you want, you can be unhappy all you like, but whoever, let's be honest, whoever we were going to announce, the likelihood is it wasn't going to be a great name that people can be happy with.
Yeah.
Unless it was Harry Redknapp, but let's be honest, in terms of like people liking him, but like, let's be honest, is that a better appointment than this?
Yeah.
No.
Wazza1882 says, Igor Tudor, his pros are effective at organising teams and prioritising results. His cons, struggled with poor player-manager relationships. That doesn't sound great. Preferred formation 3-4-2-1 style, pragmatic, prioritised defensive solidity, aggressive wing-backs in attacking phase, compact wide mid to low block, attitude, intense, demanding, tactical, known for strong presence on the touchline.
Okay.
So I'm just envisaging like what Conte was on the touchline.
That sounds like Conte, yeah. That sounds like Conte. But other people say he's a more attacking manager. It's a bit odd. I don't know exactly. We need someone, I guess, I don't know, we need someone to really need to talk to him face-to-face, because we're getting different perspectives from different people. Some saying he's like defensive and his football's not great. Some other people saying he is more offensive and he has more of an attacking approach. I don't know what the truth is.
Yeah. We need to speak to a Juve fan. That's the reality. Chef Sarprian says, they hire Igor Tudor. Can't lie. We deserve to get relegated. Terrible manager. 46% onion ball win rate. Let's hope not.
Yeah, that's all we need, 46%. I'll take 46%.
People are expecting us like to bring in a manager to win us the league. Like, I don't understand this.
Like, do they think we need an 80% win rate? Like, that's not going to happen. I'll take 46%. That gets us mid-table. That's fine.
Luca THFC says, Igor Tudor stayed in the club for longer than a year. Challenge impossible. We don't. He's an interim until the end of the season, bro.
That's perfect. We don't need him. We don't want him over a year. We want him for 3 months.
Yeah.
So that's fine. He's an interim manager. So it's irrelevant how long he stays at clubs.
It's mad, isn't it? Literally, that's the reason we're bringing him in.
Look, at the end of the day, look, if you look at his points per match, like our current points per match is at 1.16, something ridiculously low. Everywhere, it's much higher.
Yeah.
Most of these clubs.
Spurs Zone saying, personally not against Igor Tudor as interim. One, because he's definitely won't make it past the summer due to his long historic fights with the horrible leadership at his respected former clubs, Marseille and Lazio. Second, because he can come in and immediately toughen up these players whilst having some history with Muani, who's been struggling in the Premier League. He's a very club man. He didn't take any compensation when Juve sacked him. Personally, I'm all over it for the short term. And yeah, I think it's a major plus that he's worked with Muani. Major plus.
Yeah. So that's hopefully something he can kind of call upon, and hopefully Muani can find a new level. But as you say, he's played up front a lot. So maybe do we go for a 5-3-2 as opposed to a... But then where does that put Xavi? Maybe just behind them. Yeah. In a 2. And to be honest, we don't have wingers, so we don't. Maybe let's just not play with wingers.
Could you do a 3-5-2 with Sarr, Gallagher, and Xavi in the midfield?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because we actually don't have wingers, so might as well just not play with them.
Yeah.
Because we don't have them.
Yeah.
So that makes sense actually. Yeah. 3-5-2 makes maybe a bit more sense.
And then Tell can be the backup 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Richarlison.
Yeah, and Richarlison. Yeah, I'm up for that. I think that's probably the best way to go.
Yeah, and even if need be, you can put if Xavi gets injured, you can put Gallagher there, and two others sitting, because we just all our wingers.
So you're looking at a
out.
3-5-2. So Vicario in goal, Paulinho right centre back,
Romero
Dragusin
comes back. Yeah.
Dragusin in the middle.
Serie A, what's it called, experience.
Van der Ven on the left wing back Spence, right wing back Porro, Gallagher, Sarr in the middle, Javi a bit further forward, and then Muani and Solanke up top.
And also, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that the formation that Brentford played yesterday?
Yes. Who was up front for them
Lautaro
yesterday?
and Thiago.
Yeah, you're right. It was.
And
It was.
How did they do? How did they do against the Gooners? Come on. It's time to get excited, people. We don't even know if he's going to play that formation. I'm starting to get excited.
Well, we're going to be handing out bottles in N17 on Sunday. Dave W says, if it's Igor Tudor, I'm thinking that's us relegated and he'll get sacked before the end of the season. This record doesn't look good at all, and he's only won the Croatian Cup. What the fuck are they doing? I mean, what is this opinion? Like, I don't understand it. Like, he's looked at just the time he's been at clubs. That's all he's looking at there. He hasn't looked at win percentage, what he's actually done at these clubs. Like, I don't understand the opinion of bringing in Igor Tudor that sealed our fate to relegation. That just doesn't. It's nonsensical.
Exactly. Like, I don't understand what did people want. If they wanted an interim, this was kind of what we were going to get. In fact, I thought we were going to get worse than this. I thought, people were saying Heitinger, people were saying Redknapp, people were saying all these different guys, Mason, people were saying bring back Mason, right? Everyone was saying, in terms of what direction we go in, no one had Tudor, right? Not because he was the worst appointment, but because we didn't expect Tottenham to go in this direction. We didn't really know where we were going to go. So, for me, I think it's probably the best we can get right now, let's be honest. Like, as an interim, we're not really going to do much better in the short term. It's just what we got to contend with.
Yeah.
So that's the reality. Like, I'm fine with it. I'm not jumping for joy, but I'm fine with it. Like, hopefully, the evidence suggests he can get the job done. So, like, I don't know what kind of interim people expected.
People want like Pochettino or De Zerbi as interim, like now. And that's the problem. It's not going to happen.
Ain't gonna happen.
All right. That is the way the internet did react to the news. A lot of different kind of opinions. There's one here, actually. I've just liked it. If you want to just go back to it, just telling you how he kind of approaches games. So it says, Igor Tudor has a similar tactical philosophy and approach to Antonio Conte. Defend man-to-man from the goal kick, 5-2-3 in open play, which is happy to defend deep, 4-2-4 build-up with one wing-back high, one low, 3-2-5 in attack, sensible in the short run, not long-term. So, yeah, very similar to Antonio Conte.
He also goes on to say nothing different to what Frank did with the back three. Although a fresh face can provide a bounce and extra clarity and conviction with his ideas, as that is the only system Tudor has played for the last decade. With Frank, there was less certainty and a man feeling the heat. By the way, this account was like a stan for Frank. Like, he loved Frank.
Oh, really?
And he was like every week saying, after each defeat, he would like be posting long tactical threads about how Frank really did coach a win, but we just weren't good enough and all this kind of rubbish. Like, I couldn't stand him. He was doing my head in. Anyway, that's how he has to say on Tudor.
Sim has his issues with this account.
Yeah, this account, I do.
All right. Look, let's get into some super chats.
What's it called? Just a quick chat says, AD Parker says, Sim and Ben will change their mood after the 3 consecutive losses. Yeah, probably.
After the North London derby, it's very likely that we change our mood. We'll see.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, let's get in. Bring on Brian Daigle, someone says. Ian D says, Championship, here we come. That's, come on, let's have a bit more positivity. He's going to keep us up. He'll keep us up.
We are staying up, so we are staying up.
Steve Nichols says, let's put it in this way. He won't take any shit, and I think Romero will love him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Romero will respect him 100%.
Romero didn't like Conte, though.
That's also true. It's also true. I think he did at the beginning, and then something went wrong there.
Yeah.
Chameleon Eyes says, pray that this being an interim appointment means Poch really will come back after the summer. I will fucking cry. Not getting my hopes up though.
Yeah, I do think all roads lead to Pochettino. I really
agree.
do.
I think, and this appointment, I think, is more evidence of that. Power Chord says, sacked from Juve for 3 losses in a row and 8 games winless run, but playing forward-thinking aggressive football, so coin flip either way.
Yeah.
Is it a coin flip?
Well, I don't think he plays forward-thinking aggressive football. Maybe he does. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Pedro says, I guarantee they are hiring him to get you used to a 3-4-3s to be prepared for Amorim next year. Remember this.
No, I don't think so. I think they're hiring him just to get us out of the shit from now to the end of the season.
Good news, Tudor averages 2 points per game with Moani. Bad news, Tudor averages only 1 point per game without Moani. Well, the good news is we have Moani. So that's that, you know. There you go.
This is probably the only thing that could have happened to get us excited for Moani.
Exactly. All of a sudden, he is the Croatian Roy Hodgson, says Garver. Hodgson's good at keeping teams up.
Hodgson in his pomp.
Hodgson is good at keeping teams up, isn't he?
Yeah.
Tudor, good watches. To be fair, I'll be checking mine until June. Oh, like literal watches. No, he wasn't a good watch. He has good watches. Oh, well, we'll take a look at his wrists.
All right, cool. So that is the news. We've got some comments to react to next. Obviously, we did videos on the Ange interview and some other bits and pieces of Frank. So let's see how you guys have been reacting to them.
All right. Where's the first one? This is from Bikansna. Says Sim is completely right on the Romero situation. One of the core issues with this fan base is they often go the easy route by scapegoating individuals that go against the tide, like Ange or Romero, instead of actually standing up and pointing the ones that are the top of the structure and responsible of the decisions.
I think that is true to a certain extent about pointing the fingers of where they really need to be pointed at. And look, Romero ain't the crux of the problem. Like I said yesterday, Ange wasn't the crux of the problem. Frank weren't the crux of the problem. The crux of the problem are the people that run this football club, and they're the ones responsible for everything, all the negativity that seeps in, the mentality of the club and all that kind of stuff. But the only thing I was saying yesterday is that Romero, as club captain, should be trying to rise above these kind of things and hold himself to a different standard, like a Sonny did last season.
Do you think Tudor should strip him of the captaincy?
I think no. I don't know what he should do, to be honest. I don't know what he should do. I think he'll keep Romero as captain.
I can't see his first action being stripping Romero of the captaincy. That'd be a crazy move.
An interim just needs to, get everyone on side. And if you strip Romero of the captaincy straight away, that's already like causing a fracture. So
yeah, you think that would be a popular move in the dressing room? I doubt it. But yeah, look, the minor point is, as much as I think Romero should have been held accountable for his actions, like fining him and dropping him, in terms of if it was true, he was coming late and stuff, 100%. But I think when it comes to all these things that we're talking about, players' behaviour, I think we have, don't get me wrong, it's not good, and I don't like my captain doing that, and it's unacceptable. But instead of blaming him and focusing on that in terms of why we're in the situation we are, we should be looking at what was really causing all these things to happen. And I think, as I've said, at Argentina, he's like a different person. So why is it different here? Is it because of him, or is it because of the environment? So I think the key is changing the environment. And that, for example, remember Kane, when he wanted to leave, and he was awful for like 3 months. Like he couldn't hit a barn door. He seemed like he didn't want to be here. And Pete, do you remember on the channel, people were like, just sell him. He doesn't want to be here. Like, drop him. They were saying drop him. They like drop him for the next game. He shouldn't be playing. And I was saying, do you really think he is the problem? Do you really think that, like, do you think the solution to Kane playing the way he is dropping him and taking him out of the team, or is there a deep-rooted issue here, something deeper? And then we changed Nuno, we got Conte, and he was like a new guy. And that's kind of what I'm saying. We need to change the environment. That's the solution, rather than taking Romero out. It's changing the environment. That's the solution.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very fair point. And but I still think that shouldn't take away the criticism for Romero for the way. For the unprofessionalism that he's been showing as club captain. So
that's fine, but you could also say, like with Kane, he was dog shit. Like, he dropped his standards for 3 months.
Yeah, and he should have been, and he was rightly criticised at the time as well.
Right, and I agree with that. And fine, you can criticise him, but I think when people are talking about, just get rid, sell him, drop him, or look, maybe he should have been dropped for a game or something. But when it comes to all these things about blaming it on Romero, he bad captain. We don't want players like that. For me, that's not the solution to the problem.
Yeah, fine. Maybe selling's not the solution, but definitely some repercussions or disciplinary action should have been the repercussions.
I agree with that, and that was a big failing of the club and Frank. That's probably part of the reason.
Because we heard that Romero gets treated differently behind closed doors, so he should act differently as well.
Yeah, he should be fined, and he should have. There should have been laid a market down. He should have been made an example of.
Yeah.
As look, this is our club captain. Those are the standards you've got to set. And we didn't do that. So that was a failing on Frank when it comes to his leadership.
Agreed.
So, Kerno, Chris, Vina and Lange are more worried about getting egg on their faces than doing the right thing for the club. Disgraceful behaviour. They should be out the door as well.
Yeah, you know what? If we save ourselves as well, like, the narrative is going to be like, Lange and Vinay saved us, because it's just ridiculous. The stuff about them getting their toes all walked over was by Paul O'Keefe. It's not even in the mainstream media. The stuff about Igor, Tudor, Fabio wanting him 4 months ago is not in the mainstream media. So from the mainstream media, the narrative is going to be like, Lange and Vinay have saved us.
Yeah. Fabio saved us. If Tudor keeps us up, Fabio saved us. We should have listened. We should have heeded the warnings that Fabio gave us many months ago, and it's basically taken us too long to realise that he was right and we're idiots, and now he's gone. And it's actually such a mess that the fact that everything that he wanted, we're now doing, and he's now out the door by the time we're doing it. It's the whole thing's ridiculous. We know that Vina and Lange have been undermined by the hierarchy as well, because they've basically forced them to sack him, or they've sacked him and basically gone against their recommendations. I don't understand how their jobs are tenable at this point. I really don't get it. Maybe it's a case of we just need to stabilise between now and the end of the season, and then once we're safe, then those two are gone, and that's it. We can move on from this, because I don't understand how they can trust their judgment if they're undermining their decisions. Yeah. But I also think on the flip side, they made the right decision to undermine them.
Yeah, exactly. So I do think once the summer comes, I know it's another summer of change and all that kind of stuff, but we're going to embark on a new long-term project, hopefully under Pochettino, and I think that's a great opportunity to go in a different way with the sporting director.
The problem is, though, if they've done the thing is they've made the right call. I agree, but they've also stepped in and made a footballing decision when we don't want them to be doing that. So it's kind of like if they've felt emboldened to do it because they've made such a pig's ear of appointing, Vina and Lange. Are they going to feel that ever again if things are going wrong down the line?
I think the way they played this out, they could have stepped in a lot earlier than they did. Mm-hmm. We know that there was fracture in the boardroom regarding the manager situation, and if they were dying to make that football decision, they would have stepped in a while back. So I think they made the right call as well. Not the right call because we all wanted him sacked earlier, but they made the right decision in terms of trusting the so-called football opinions and football voices in the boardroom of Lang and Vina, even though it's not ones that we trust, but they're the ones in the job. So they're the ones that need to be trusted with the decision. So they trusted it as long as possible, really. And as soon as it came to like proper alarm bells, then they stepped in, and I think that was the right way to go about it.
But at the end of the day, the objective fact is they did make a footballing decision.
Yeah.
And that is also a scary thought, because that's something we've been railing against, those kind of people making the footballing decisions.
Yeah.
And it was the football people who are basically ignored, and that's not what we want. But we also want good footballing people making those decisions, and clearly V9 Lange aren't that.
The non-football people made better footballing decisions than the football people.
Yeah.
How scary is that?
But how can we prevent that happening in the future? Just
By
have
getting
better people
in, yeah.
But do you think that will stop them making a footballing decision down the line?
I think if they have full trust in those people, then yes. But I think the trust has been lost in the people that we currently have.
Yeah, I agree. So James Gaffney says, if senior players were telling the hierarchy 4 months ago to get rid, that on its own means the players don't have any faith in the manager. Someone in the hierarchy wants us to go down. If the players' thoughts on Frank 4 months ago and continued to recently fell on deaf ears, crazy.
I think there's different things going on here in the boardroom when you talk about Vinay and Lange. Like, Vinay has obviously got the Arteta thing to look back on, and he's like, all right, well, I've got proven track record of giving a manager time and it turning around. Obviously, it never got as bad as what Frank did at Tottenham, and definitely not as quickly. So it was just bullshit in the first and foremost. Vinay think like that. You can't just think like any manager can turn it around. Like, just because you gave Arteta time and it turned around and they turned into one of England's best teams, it doesn't mean that's going to happen under any manager. So I think that's a flawed process. First and foremost,
Ridiculous process when you think about it. Just any manager can turn it around if given enough time. That's not realistic at all, is it?
Exactly. And Johan Lang, I mean, he's worked with Frank in the past. They've known each other for a long time. They're obviously mates. So I think he found it hard to sack his mate, basically.
Yeah, and so it led to this situation where there was just ulterior motives, it felt like. And also, on back of that, I feel like they didn't want, I think as one of the first commenters says, they didn't want to have egg on their face. Like, they're the ones who probably pushed a lot for this appointment. Obviously, Vinay did this whole thing about when he was signed about how it was a 10-point process and 30 candidates and they ran on him. So how bad it looks on them once he gets sacked that this was the guy they chose. So they wanted to basically hope he turned it around, because either way, whether they sacked him or kept him, like the fact that it's gone on this long, and they allowed it to go on this long, it kind of just looks bad on them either way now, whether they sack him or keep him, because it was their choice to hire him. So they wanted to just hope beyond all hope he turned it around, because that's it. Because if he turns it around, that's the only way they come out of this scot-free. At the end of the day, he just wasn't turning it around.
The thing is, with hiring him in the first place, obviously it was a bad move to hire him, but obviously a lot of fans got on board. I got on board. You never thought it would be as bad as it actually was. So everyone,
I understood it, yeah.
Yeah, so everyone kind of understood it to a certain extent, and a lot of people were excited about it. So actually hiring him, don't think was the biggest kind of evidence of their incapabilities and their lack of judgment. But I think keeping him for as long as they did.
I disagree, actually, because as much as fans were on board, and look, as fans, I'm not saying fans are stupid or anything, but these clubs have billions and billions of pounds at their disposal. They have probably data and analysis that the common fan isn't privy to. They have all these different metrics. Like, obviously we have like XG and blah blah blah, all these different things, but they should have the best in class in terms of analysts and people who are understanding of football and all these different things. And now the fact for me that, with all that being said, they have millions and millions of pounds of their disposal, and they looked at Thomas Frank and his time at Brentford and decided he plays attractive front-footed football, and they appointed him loosely on that basis as one of the pointers. For me, that's a massive failing. That's a massive failing.
I'm not saying
that even beforehand, it's a failing that he got through the process, and that was a box that was ticked, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, that's true, but I'm not saying it's not a flawed process, and I'm not saying it was a good decision, but what I am saying is that the decision to stick with him was far worse than the decision to hire him. That's what I'm saying.
No, I agree with that. I'm just saying they shouldn't get off scot-free for any understanding of hiring him in the first place.
No, I'm not saying that.
It was already a bad decision.
No, I wasn't saying that. I was just saying that the decision to stick with him was far more incompetent than the decision to hire him.
Absolutely. They should have seen. There should have been an analyst there saying he's playing very similar to what that he's playing at Brentford. You know, he's just playing long ball. It's very much percentage football. This is what we can expect to see going forward. After that 4-1 defeat to Arsenal and that 1-0 defeat to Chelsea, or the 3-0 defeat to Forest, those were 3 ultimately sackable offences immediately there. Someone should have been saying, this isn't going to change. This is how he plays.
As soon as that kind of Arsenal thing came out, or the players had to tell him to shut up for keep mentioning Arsenal, should have been out the door quicker than anything.
Chief and Chips says, Ben, hats off to you for apologising to Ange. The truth came out. The club did not want to support him and the project. The board rejects the darers to do concept. They are not risk takers. The club will never be successful until ENIC are gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree with that. It really is hard to disagree with that, and we come back to it every year, and I think every year we kind of see the team on the pitch and the projects getting worse and worse and shorter, and I think every year as well we kind of get swayed off it, and a lot of people start pointing fingers at the managers and this and that, and that's why I said when Frank was sacked, like, I wasn't angry at Frank. It's all a culmination of decisions that this board take time and time again. And for various different reasons, the projects fail every time. And it's always back on the ownership every single time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is obviously definitely a problem when it comes to they're not willing to risk any sort of profit or anything, are they, when it comes to taking a risk in the transfer market or breaking that wage structure. They're very regimented in that, and we've missed out on so many players because of it. And now we're sitting in the situation that we're sitting at where there seems to be no ambition in this football club as much as they portray it.
And look, I think the Lewis family were probably not willing to step on any toes, but as soon as it became a genuine threat of relegation, when it looked like we were going to go 3 points above the relegation zone, that's when they had to step in, because that's when their pockets was going to get hit the most. And as well, that last game with the empty stadiums and you know, we've spoken about it to death, but you know, they were willing to ride it out if relegation was not a serious threat.
Deadly Dizzle says, this channel pushed and supported narratives about Ange not being fit for purpose and wanted him sacked, supported by numpties like Daigle, Stel and Danny. Now we're here giving him credit and saying he wasn't the problem when it was so obvious to anyone with common sense. With the exception of Sim, the participants on this channel could do with a long look in the mirror.
Didn't we do that yesterday? Didn't we go through this yesterday?
It's just a comment.
Didn't we go through that? Of course you picked out this comment. Of course you picked out this comment. What are some of the replies on that comment saying?
That's what I want to know. There's 37 replies in that comment.
Exactly, that's why I
haven't looked, actually.
But look, I think the main thing is, if you think you've made a mistake, to cop it up, as Ange would say.
Cop it.
To cop it and own up to it and speak about it. And that's what I did yesterday.
Did you take a long look in the mirror?
I had a long, hard look at myself, man, because that's what I said. Because I said, like, why did I sit there and consistently blame managers? Why am I sitting here lambasting Frank all season? Why am I sitting there last year going mad at Ange Postecoglou? Like, why am I going in so hard on managers when I know they're not the crux of the issue here? We should always be focused on the ownership. That's what it should be.
Robert says, Sim was always right, stuck by Ange, but it's always shoot the messenger. And Sean says, there were times when Daigle, Stel and Ben were belligerent towards Sim, mocking him for his stance and values. I hope they apologise to Sim.
I ain't apologising to Sim.
I apologise for nothing. They've had their apologies, don't worry. The apologies to Ange is enough. I don't need an apology to me.
I'll apologise to Ange, never apologise to Sim.
That's enough for me. That's enough for me. Ange is the main one. Running Guy says, thank you for apologising, Ben. Sim, you're my man. you recruit like a lower league mid-tier club alongside also mindset of winning silverware. We can't even talk about it. Would other clubs get ridiculed if they planned for silverware and had conversations about it? How can we win if we can't even talk about it? It happens by accident. Also, taking risks is part of winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was, because Andrew was saying they were scared to even talk about silverware behind the scenes, which is mad.
You run a football club and you can't talk about silverware.
Like, don't say that. You're jinxing us. Like, they probably blamed Andrew. They thought Andrew was jinxing them when he said, "Oh, he's winning my second season." They're probably like, "Oh, this guy's jinxing us. Now
like,
we're never going to win."
What is this guy doing?
Yeah, what's this guy
Is that
doing?
like panic stations behind the scenes?
Oh my God, he said it. He actually said it. We're never going to win again. God. Marco Kumo says at some point I'll get replaced by John the Pragmatist and you can all be happy and revel in it. And nailed it. And that's exactly what happened. He called it spot on.
Yep, we got John the Pragmatist and he was out.
He was out very quickly.
He was out very quickly. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens next week on the overlap because he's got a longer stint on it. Obviously, he was drafted in like in short term just to get his reaction to the Frank news and everything like that. And obviously, he said what he said. But I think more fire is going to come next week. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure he's going to talk about Forest as well and everything. Last one. It still baffles me the disrespect some fans show towards Ange. He put his neck and reputation on the line to get rid of the Spursy tag and drag this club over the line to win its first trophy in years he embodied to dare us to do, and yet some fans still slag him off and beg for a manager who embodies Spursiness to come back and somehow save us. I think he's talking about Poch, is he? I don't know if that's true, that last line, because I don't think that's what... I'm assuming he's talking about Poch. I wouldn't say that's what he embodied. He embodied someone who dared to challenge the elites and dared to challenge the very top and, got to a Champions League final, got to many title challenges. It wasn't his fault that we failed. Yes, I understand what people say, like, we did have a very, very good squad and that should have won something.
Didn't. We had a very good team.
Sorry, a very good team. And those players should have won something, 100%. The fact that Harry never won anything, Son, Eriksson, Dele, Toby, Jan, Lloris, Walker, the fact that we had that team and they never won anything is a travesty. But I don't put it down to Poch. Obviously, he had parts to blame, but I just don't think it was his fault that it never won a trophy.
But you look at teams that actually win things. Teams don't have a bench of Nkudus and Ngis and the guys that we had on the bench at the time.
Apart from Leicester.
Yeah, Leicester was a 1 in a million thing, but I think you're looking at every team that have won over the past 10, 15 years or whatever. You don't just have a starting 11. You have a whole squad and everyone that can muck in. So I don't think it was a surprise that we didn't win anything. I think it was unbelievable for him to actually get as far as he did in what he was trying to achieve. It's like so many semi-finals in the FA Cup, 2 title challenges and a Champions League final. Like, he didn't have enough to get over the line, in my opinion.
He could have won a trophy.
Yeah, he could have won a trophy, but team. I'm talking about the big things, like going and winning the Premier League and going and winning the Champions League. He didn't have enough to win those big tournaments.
Yeah, 100%. And I think he did well to get as far as he did. And my only point is, I understand the argument. People say that team should have won a trophy. 100% he should have.
I hate the narrative that people call Poch a loser and he's this and he's that. It's like, he's not a loser. He took us to heights that we couldn't even have dreamt of getting to before he joined the club.
Yeah. And, I think, he had 2 third-place finishes, a second-place finish, 2 fourth-place, 1 fourth-place finish, a 5th-place finish, like consistently right there, challenging. And this is what I said about Poch at the time, and it's still so true. He normalised overachieving. And so that's kind of what we expect now from every manager, is to overachieve. Yeah. Because Poch was just able to do it every season for so long.
Every Spurs team since Pochettino has always been kind of put against that Poch's Spurs team and the prime Poch Spurs team. And we just got to remember that team was a very special team and it's going to take a lot of amazing recruitment to get back to those levels.
And even like... And so he normalised overachieving, so it's kind of what we expect from every manager. So when Mourinho only finishes 6th rather than top 4, we're blaming Mourinho. When Conte overachieved for 6 months, right, he got us to 4th, which was an overachievement. right? And then that's what we expected because, if he could overachieve at that time, he could overachieve again. And then when Ange gets us 5th, we're like, yeah, but he could have got us 4th, even though that was an overachievement. Like, we're expecting all the managers to overachieve at this football club. And instead of just giving them the tools to actually compete, it's like, well, you can overachieve because these other guys have done it for a short amount of time. But Poch was the only one who could do it over a long stretch of time.
The thing is with Poch coming back to this club now, why I think it's such a good appointment for us, because I don't think he's going to get us back to the levels of what he did prior to that, just because I don't think we can get as good enough first team as we did then. And obviously the level of competition now right at the top is a lot stronger than it was when Poch got there. But I think what he can do is just get us back on that right path again, get us back in those conversations for being a top 4 club, a top 5 club. Put an arm around these academy guys, nurture them, get a lot better football stylistically, and get better out of our forward players as well.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the people will be more on board with the football. I'm sure about that. I think there'll be some games where we're exciting with, pressing the life out of teams. And I think teams are a lot better, if I'm being honest, now than they were when he was managing in the Premier League. I think I think the middle teams are much better. I think the top teams are obviously more stable as well. So it's a different challenge now than when it was before. But we just need something we can all get behind. And I think he can get us back challenging for Europe again in the short term. In the long term, I don't know where I see him, to be honest. I don't know if he can ever get us back, as you say, challenging for the title like he was. I don't know if that's possible under him. But in the short term, he can just get us believing again that we can actually be a decent team. And that has been just so long now that I think I'll take that.
I think if he's at Spurs for the next 4 years, I think he progressively gets us better and just competing for the European spots consistently. And I think that's just what the club need right now. Like, we're so far away from talking about the heights that he took us to last time. Like, we're so far away from that as a club. Like, at least like back then, you just look at that team. Like, we're miles away from that. Miles.
And if he comes in, gets us back challenging for Champions League, and also maybe gets a trophy somewhere along the line, a domestic trophy or another European trophy.
That trophy will just mean so much.
That would be
much.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's all I can ask for. Why can't he win a trophy? I know he didn't, but I don't see why he can't.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that is the comments, or is there more?
No, that's it.
All right, that is the way you reacted to the videos yesterday. But yeah, look, that is it from us for now. Maybe we'll have some more stuff to bring you a bit later on today.
Maybe we'll have an announcement.
Yeah, very likely, to be honest.
Igor Tudor.
So, we'll be doing our review, the Premier League on the ball, which will be up in the next hour or so. So go and have a look at that. Very much looking forward to reviewing that Arsenal game from last night. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We'll see you all very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.